G'day, citizens, and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Old Man Hurst himself, Algared. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fairly well. Nice, cool summer's day today. But this one has been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was saying to Algared before this, I was going, it must be at least 3 years in the making, us wanting to do this. And he goes, no. And then we started thinking, and he goes, oh, yeah, remember this happened? And it was like, that was 5 years ago. And I'm like, and it has to be, I'm up to at least 6 or 7. It's been a really long time.
Since we wanted to do an episode like this one.
And finally, yeah, so we're going to do
finally, we've got an FMO.
Yeah, so we're bringing along with us, I've got 2 guests today from HLN, which is Humanitarian Logistics Network. They're an org. And we're going to introduce those 2 guys now. So we've got Selko, who's the org leader, and I didn't catch your role, Fishbowl, but what's your role, Fish, real quick?
I am the org executive officer, number 2 in charge.
He's Mr. Fancy Pants. Right. Okay.
That's right.
Selko, what kind of like I guess so as we normally start with the Fix My Fleet is, what do the kind of like, because obviously an org's going to do a lot of different things. What are like the top 3 things, Selko, that your org does?
We're a pretty multifaceted org. We like to say that we do a little bit of everything, but if I had to narrow it down to 3 things, we tend to focus right now on a lot of PMC type activities, enforcing security, as we like to say. We're not pirates or any sort of hostile force, but we like to defend our sandcastle, so to speak, and make sure that other players are having a good time. We also focus.
So you like to play nice with the other kids in the sandpit?
We certainly do.
Right.
Okay. They share their toys.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. We also focus pretty heavily on logistics. We want to make sure that our org mates are well taken care of, well supplied. We like to keep the train moving, keep supplies flowing. And that feeds into our final focus. It's part of our namesake. We intend to be a humanitarian force throughout the verse, helping other orgs or groups or individuals come up from any strife that they've encountered, whether that's due to a griefer or just a series of unfortunate bad luck events.
Okay, and helping them. What I've written down is I wrote down play nice, logistics, and helpful to others. That's what I wrote down.
Now,
sure,
my short question, based on, because we were discussing a little beforehand, how do you see logistics? What do you see? How are you going to do logistics? Are they just hauling, or what?
In the current game state, it's a little hard to.
Yeah. So when we ask these questions, we're always looking at what you envisage you're going to be doing rather than what's in gameplay now, because gameplay now is a bit lacking.
So in a let's say a 1.0 world, logistics is going to be pretty near and dear to our heart. So with how I envision it working, we're going to have constant need for cargo running. And that's going to be mostly running supplies between our various outposts, bases, different activities we might have going on. I see us running supplies to, player cities that may have come up. And bringing everything we need to that location to be able to resupply, rebuild, and effectively handle everything for them. So we would show up with all the manpower needed to effectively build something from nothing.
All right, we're losing you a little bit there, Selko. Your mic's breaking up a little bit, but we'll persist through. So, Fish, the other thing you mentioned earlier that I wanted to get was a military for hire. Is that a part of, would you say that's in your doctrine as well?
It's more of a military presence that has the mindset of restoring order to areas that may become chaotic or entrenched in an unlawful state, we can be hired for security
So
if
more
you
like
need
the
us. But we actually,
I'm the sheriff about here of these parts. That type of thing.
that's generally the play. We prefer that you not pay us. We prefer to show up to help you because you need help, not because you've paid us.
So bounty hunters for hire, or just bounty hunters? That's what it sounds like a little bit. But
We're targeted with where we apply military force.
Okay. All right. So we're going to switch over to the fleet viewer now and have a look at it. Now, I do want to point out this is not like a normal Fix My Fleet episode. It is a Fix My Org, so we can't go into rigorous detail, and we can't sit here and say this ship is really bad, you need to get rid of it. We're not going to do that. This is more of a learning experience for other orgs, and I think already in the last couple of days with the discussions backwards and forwards between me and you, Fish, you've already learned a lot by doing this, have you not? Like pulling all your ships into one image. It's shown you some gaps and stuff. So Fish has already done the heavy lifting, basically. Yeah. So it's just us going over it with them. It's nice to have someone to bounce off. So we're not really doing a lot of the work on this one. So what we're trying to teach you guys here as an org is to kind of look at your fleet and see if there are any gaping holes, and also if there is way too many of a particular ship. And that they've already noticed this by doing this exercise. So this is just us going through and crossing T's and dotting I's, basically. So yeah. All right, let's have a look at this. All right, so this is their current org. And at the moment, I think you guys said this is the people that are very active, and you've got about 40 active members at the moment, is what you told me, Fish, I believe.
That is a roundabout number. Yep. Obviously, it does fluctuate. But that's about right.
And you've got about 100 in total, though, but only at the moment 40 about as active. And that's pretty common with orgs at the moment because the game's obviously not out yet, so that makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then. So I think we'll kind of start at the top and go backwards, right? So I'll put this to you, Selko or Fish. What do you see your javelins being used for?
Selko, you want to take it? You want me to?
No, I got that. So they're really force projection. I don't see them being something that is commonly fully crewed or brought out. I don't know the mechanics of how the javelin will work in the game yet. I assume it's something that will be persistently out there and available. So the way I see it being used is positioning it in an area that we would like to say that we have control over, and using it to establish our presence. In the event that we need to crew it up and wave the big stick around, then the option exists there. But given the crew requirements of it, I don't see it being something that is constantly manned and flown around. Kind of a mobile forward operating base, something we can park somewhere and say this is our control zone.
Yeah, I think the obvious one here for me, Algared, I don't know if it is for you, is that you've probably got enough active people right now to do one of these, but that's about it. So clearly you've got a lot of room to grow in. And I'd probably say at this point, obviously you can have different javelins around the verse, so to speak, as you kind of grow. But I think honestly, this is I'd probably say, all right, we've got enough for now.
Yeah.
And grow into it. And obviously you've got the battle cruiser around the corner. So we should probably talk about that. Quite obviously, you could probably upscale one of these into a battle cruiser, and I think you'd probably be fine after that. That's kind of where my brain goes, Algared. I don't know if you.
Yeah, when you look at javelins and the really big ships, one of the things that I think is going to impact a lot of people is that time to get it back if it's destroyed.
Yeah,
because I expect the time to get these back is going to be more significant than 5 or 6, a few hours.
Yeah.
So having at least one other, if you intend to use them heavily, it gives you that ability to just pull it out of the hangar or if needed.
I can confirm from people that I know at CIG that the times of all ships are going way up.
Way up.
And
Yep, and I fully expect that.
Yeah.
Fully expect that.
Yeah.
The other thing is it also gives you the ability to have them in different systems, as you were suggesting. So,
yeah,
probably even though you're not manning them permanently, I imagine it's going to be the same type of thing. You can take them a space dock them, and then.
But by the same token, they're also like you kind of want to have one that you can pull out as a backup. But but it's not also going to be the ship that you use every day of the week. So that's another thing you got to take into account. But I think it's not a terrible position where you're at there at all. But as I said, what about the battle cruiser? I'll put that back to you.
Oh, look, battle cruiser for an org, I think for an org that's certainly got some combat focus, and a PMC does have combat focus. Having that as your ultimate force projection would be something you'd want.
But again, you're not going to need a heap of them. No, maybe two at most. Again, for that backup factor.
Yeah, and I think the problem with Javelin is that there's got stuff there, but there's still a lot we don't know about the Javelin.
Yeah, that's it.
So we know it's got a hangar that can take a
Redeemer currently,
a landing craft, a Redeemer, or a troop landing ship.
Yep,
for the Marines. But we know it's supposedly got some module rooms, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But we can see other stuff. We've seen it in game, in Xeno Threat and other areas, but
probably hearing
so it's
more about that next year as
the battle cruiser. If what we know about the Javelin is limited, the battle cruiser even more so. So
yeah. But we'll hear more about those in 2026. So yeah. Right, we've got 2 whole E's here, and I still think for logistics wise, that's kind of good for an org of this size. I think I wouldn't imagine you really need to go much beyond this. You've got that backup factor. You've also going to have a whole bunch of logistics with these ships as they travel. And I'm assuming just from what you said about logistics, Fish and Selco, that this is what this is intended for.
Indeed.
How did you guys feel about the lowering of the cargo count? Have you had some time to analyze that? Because that's going to affect your logistics, obviously.
Someone at CIG finally got hit with the realistic stick when it came to the number of crates getting attached to a ship. And I'm perfectly okay with it, even thinking about the new numbers that we have on this ship.
It's still a lot.
It's still huge. It's still huge.
Amount of
thinking
cargo.
about loading it is already makes me sick.
I'm hearing your responses like mine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I did not want to load 96,000 at CU.
Yeah.
Sorry, Selco, I missed what you said there. Can you repeat that, please?
No, just agreeing that I think that it's a good change. It's still a massive amount of cargo.
Yeah. And again, this could obviously ebb and flow. If you need more, you can obviously add them. But again, with the sheer amount of cargo that these two things move, I think you'll be sitting pretty for 40 people. Like I wouldn't really go much beyond that.
Right. We have aspirations to get a bit bigger than that. That's something that I haven't quite mentioned. So
it allows you to, again, with 4 javelins and stuff like that, you've got room to move into some of these things as well. So you're going to know more than we're ever going to know about your org. So a lot of this is taking, and this is a reflection episode. And I've often said, Fish and I have talked about Fix My Fleet a lot. So me and Fish hang out quite a bit. And what Fix My Fleet is essentially, it's like an intervention. It's just us reflecting a lot about what you say to us. Like we literally just write down what you say and we kind of reflect it back at you. And it just gives you time to kind of that. Sometimes it's really harsh and jarring to people, but it's this reflection and getting you to see the gaps yourself. Because sometimes when you look at it, you just don't see it. And again, it's also why we get to lay out in an image like this, because it makes it really obvious.
Yeah. And sometimes with Fix My Fleet, people say, I want to get this ship, but I can't afford it. And you look at their fleet and you go, well, what do you use these for? And I don't. And you say, well, if you melted that, you get.
Yeah.
But this is a different situation because it is org-based rather than individual based.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, our next ship.
So the Orion. So tell us about why you reckon you guys got these Orions. We'll start there.
So go, me or you?
You can take this one.
So it's a similar quandary with Orions as it is for Hull E's in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
In my brain, a Hull E for us is going to serve the same similar purpose to an Orion in the fact that they're going to be tools dedicated to gathering and moving base building level quantities of material. That's what these are for. Honestly, I think 3 might be a bit smaller than what I would prefer them to be.
And I'm about to get to that. Because
Yep.
I agree.
But,
I agree with you based on what. Look, I'm going to cut ahead a little bit here. Go ahead, Algared. What were you going to say?
I was going to say exactly the same thing. You know, when we were talking earlier, you said industry was one of your key things. I'm going, man, you've only got.
So they've got 6 Arastras in an org base level thing. They almost need to switch these around where it's 6 Orions because again, you're going for quantity over quality, so to speak. And the Orion is 6 times the size, and this is like 4 to 6, and I believe the Orion is 5 to 8 people I'm talking about. So to better utilize those people, I know you might be after some rarer resources, but you don't need 6 ships worth of rarer resources, right? So it almost, if you drop this back to 3 and increase this to 6, that would be a lot more. Again, if you're talking the same number of ships, because at the moment there's only a $75 price difference between these 2 ships, right? So it's a better utilization of the funds. But again, you can't dictate to individuals what they do with their ships. Sure. So but again, the hope is when you go back to your org, you can see and get them to reflect and go, this just doesn't make sense. And so people can see sense.
One of the things that I have. Oh, go ahead, Algared. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the other thing I think of when I look at things like the Orion and I'm trying to weigh up, is the Orion worth having? It's worth looking at the loaner ships that you do get for the Orion. So the Orion at the moment, we get the Prospector and the Mole as loaners, I believe.
Not so important though in the end game when you're talking to an org. So again, I do have to remind Algared we are learning on the fly. And but again, loaners don't matter to an org. They don't.
No, but if you're talking to an individual and saying, look, you know, it'd be good to have one of these, and they're saying, but I like this aspect of gameplay. You can,
so what you're getting to is more than likely you get an Arastra as a loaner for an Orion. Is that what you're trying to say?
At some point, yeah.
Again, for $75, and you're talking on an org level, I think you guys will be making so much more bank with these bigger ships. And imagine also if you've got to go out in a fleet, right? So you could take 6 Orions out plus all the things to crew them. Imagine the amount of stuff you're going to be bringing back as opposed to say 3 Orions and 3 Arastras, right? It's going to be significantly larger. And there's
completely agree.
Yeah. So again, if you are. And the 2 of the biggest resource ships at the moment going into base building is we only have salvage and mining. Right now, I know the Orion's not there yet, but when that come along, this is going to be one of the key feeders into the game. I think the other one will be like whatever a large underground miner ends up being. And again, I expect that to be more on an Arastra's level, kind of like how Reclaimer is a little bit smaller than other capitals. That's kind of what I'm expecting the underground miner to be, because it's got to go down to planet. So it's got to be.
That is what I was going to add here. I think a reason that a lot of our membership specifically is really pushing towards the Arastra has to do with those ground-based deposits. And given that the Orion is space-locked practically, I think a lot of people are banking on that ground, kind of a more utilitarian miner rather than such a super specialized large asset. I think that's what's happening.
But how much of that on the surface mining is going to be as popular? You've also got to fight the moles, the prospectors.
For sure.
And then when you bring in underground mining in, what's going to be more profitable than that? And the Arastra for me just completely drops back so much it's not funny. So I think you pretty much need 1 Arastra. If you're going out in a mining fleet that's, say, got 5 Orions, 1 Arastra, and then maybe 1 underground miner, that's kind of where my brain goes. And the ship that would expand in my book would be whatever that other underground miner tends to be, because let's be honest, you're going to find more resources under the ground than you are on the ground.
For sure.
So for me, believe it or not, it's actually not the Orion, it's the other miners that are dropping off in my brain, but we'll see.
I agree with you. I can tell you that, we're talking about this. This is a conversations to have with members. Going through this image, I've already determined that my Arastra is dying soon and becoming an Orion. So I'm one of those.
I just thought I'd have a look at what CIG say about the Orion on the Galactopedia. And the Galactopedia says the Orion is a mobile mining platform manufactured by Roberts Space Industries. It was designed as a solution for mining concerns that wish to conduct operations using a single ship. Built with an array of dedicated mining equipment, it includes extensive storage for resources, drone docks, and an onboard refinery.
I think the other thing to point out, there's usually an image we bring up a lot in Fix My Fleet at Algared, isn't there, where we bring up the Orion next to a prospector, and literally one saddlebag on the Orion is larger than an entire prospector. And that was the old version of the ship before it increased in size.
Yeah, so before I doubled it in size because it didn't feel right.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to this now. If I'm looking at this correctly, is this 2 Pioneers and privateers, and 2 Krakens?
That is correct.
Yeah.
2 normal variants, 2 privateer variants.
Yeah. And I was going to say privateers would be really good for you guys because it also allows you to sell off any extra resources that you have from mining or salvage and stuff like that, or even sell off land claims if you're doing that type of thing, or even selling the property. Like if you build an entire base, you could sell that off to people. So I can see a privateer being.
This is my favorite ship in the entire game. I am one of those 4. The utilitarian just can do literally everything nature of the Kraken. And supporting those smaller groups of players, like you got 10 people on the Kraken, you got a bunch of moles or a bunch of vultures or a fighter group that's off of it. There's so much that can be done here. Our org views the Kraken as the multi-tool of the capital ships, and that's why we have the 4 that we have.
Okay. When you were talking before about using the Javelin as your forward operating base, I was thinking, man, that probably a better role for the Kraken because it's got the extra pads where lots of ships can land. It's got the cargo capacity. It's got, true, it doesn't have the weapons, but it's got, you can equip it with the ships, and it's a better for
turret for turret. It's got more DPS than an Idris theoretically. So it does have a lot of firepower.
Yeah, I do see them.
It's in a good daily slot. Talking earlier, the Javelin is. That big force projection, but you're going to see the Kraken much more often. That's that is that FOB that will be deployed often. That's the weekly kind of thing.
I do see this Kraken being deployed a lot with the Pioneer as well, like to back them up, so to speak. So you can land there and have all the resources and that. And little ships coming and going. You'd almost have a normal Kraken on the planet and a privateer above, and they travel from one to the other before all the pads are built and stuff like that. And then once you get all the pads and cargo storage out of the way, the Krakens can kind of move out of there. So you probably don't need as many Krakens as you do Pioneers, but I would also probably argue you might have too many Pioneers. Algared, they got 5.
I think, but based on what Ben said, yes. So Ben was, when we were talking with Ben, we were talking Pioneers. He was mind blown that some orgs had 1 for every person. He was like, man, you only need 1. That was his impression. You only need 1 in an org because
he was talking about an org of 11 people, by the way. But I would say, based on the number of people you have, I would say probably 2, and if you wanted to back up, maybe a third, but 5 might be a little bit too much, in my opinion. I have been
screaming this opinion from the rooftop to everybody in the org since everyone started talking about buying Pioneers. I can only do so much.
And that's where it comes in with it. If it was an individual split, we'd be saying no.
Get out of here.
But when it's an org and you've got, but I'm assuming that's 5 different people's fleets, and so
it is.
There's that element where you can't really say, well, no, you need to get rid of your Pioneer. And what if the person decides to leave the org later on? So
exactly.
Only one of these Pioneers, to my knowledge, and I'm sure I'm sure a member will come slap me if I'm wrong about this. Only one of these Pioneers has the land claim that they discontinued. And that's mine. I'm one of these Pioneers.
I think land claims are going to be a bit of a relic, to be honest. I think they're not as important as people. Like, there's a reason why they removed it from the pack, and put the price up. So obviously something has changed with how land claims work. Like, they might even just, they're not very valuable.
Yeah, we don't know.
Well, again, there are people that have been buying them up on the black market for heaps of money. And I warn you, like I've warned you with skins and best in show skins and all that in the past, there's something that tells me that they are not as valuable as you think they are. When they came out at, what was it, $100 and $150 or something like that?
I think, for the big one.
Yeah. When they came out at $100, I went, this is ridiculous. This is way too much money for nothing. And it was a money raising. It's one of those things that'll go down in infamy like the steel.
Look, I think part of a reason they got pulled is part of a reason why Squadron 42 got pulled out of the market as well. It was that literally something that didn't exist and you couldn't actually own yet.
Yeah, it's a stick. You essentially got a stick for $100. Like, and it's a virtual stick at that. It's not even a real stick like this one. It's just a stick.
But the other thing to take into account with land claims is they are only valid in UEE space.
Yep.
Outside of UEE space, they're
so as soon as you go into medium or low security, they're worthless. So they are really limiting, and that's probably why they removed them. So yeah. All right, let's move on to the Idris. From what I can see here, there seems to be 3 Ps, 3 Ks, and an M. Is that correct?
I believe they're all Ps with upgrade kits, obviously making them the K kit or the T kit. And then we have one active owner that has an M.
Okay.
We all know the M is hard to get your hands on without spending $15,000 to get it in the pack these days, unless you were around for the original.
Okay, just I could see a graphical difference between some of them, so I thought they were different, but that's okay. All right, so there's 6 Ps and an M. I would say that is a lot. Now I know for a fact, because I went out with you guys in Idris, and you told me at the time this is the first time we've ever had a fully crewed Idris. So the fact that you've
rare commodity.
Yeah, you've got one of them full. Well, you've now got 6 more to fill.
Now I'll tell you why there's so many.
Yep.
Most of these Idrises are all owned by top level officers in our group.
Yep.
And basically we always want to have one available.
Yep.
No matter who is in attendance.
I'd agree.
And so a bunch of us in command have it.
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of mine. I just have it to tide me over until they give me my sweet Kraken.
So that's why. So these are things that we can't necessarily know, but like how big of an area you're going to eventually hold in space. You kind of want to have one that's close by that you can get access to.
For sure.
Do you need backups and stuff like that? I would look at this and say this is clearly one of something that you have in excess of, but you've given me reasons also why you have so many. So I think you would agree you probably have at least a couple too many. But it sounds like you're both aware of that. And again, I'd be more likely keeping the M because of its rarity. And
for sure.
And again, once you start to put variants out here, so if you have one with a T kit and one with a K kit and stuff like that, that's also going to have a time factor as well on how they take the swap over and stuff like that. So maybe knowing what you're going to doing, it's not as bad as it seems in the first case. And it sounds like it's a predominant primary ship for you guys. And I think, Algared, I'll let you weigh in there.
Look, I got to concur on your idea of keeping the M. Not necessarily because it is the rarest, but also because it is supposedly has better armor than the P.
That is reflected in the new PTU as well. They did change it.
And now, yes, it does lose its rear turret. So on the Ps, you've got that rear turret above that landing exit of the bay. But it also but it gains its torpedo launcher and the size 7 guns on the front. So it's a much better version of the Idris, but the P is not a slouch.
No.
Now, I would argue that you want at least, if you bring out your Javelin, you'd ideally want at least 2 Idrises as support or other ships to go as support, just to add to the defense of that large capital ship, and you'd possibly want that type of arrangement if you're operating with your Krakens to have those extra ships to support it. So, does it look like a lot? Yeah, but for an org of, potentially 100 players, currently 40, that's not really that excessive. Yes, getting it fully manned is hard.
Yeah,
but the idea
that'll come easier with time though when they bring those player elements in. But again, that's probably the most clear-cut one we've looked at, but it's hard for us to weigh up because we don't know your concerns. So all we can do is bring the concerns to you and let you guys weigh that up. So, but I think you kind of looked at it and you've kind of said, it looks like we've got probably a couple too many. So I'd be looking at maybe cutting 2 at this point. That's kind of where my brain goes. Algared, I don't know. What's your kind of rough? And it is a guesstimate, Algared. What are you saying?
Look, it's a type of ship that could be looked at as being help be convert into a battle cruiser if someone wanted, if they don't have a javelin.
True.
That's what's happening to mine.
Do I like the idea of having Idris? Yeah, I love the Idrises. It's a great ship. I love using it. If I use it solo or with minimum crew, I usually take the main gun off.
Yeah.
If I'm just doing PvE stuff. If it's fully crewed, then we'd take everything. But
yeah, if you actually,
it's a beautiful ship.
I don't know if the same person does, but if you took a javelin off and an Idris off, you'd essentially have your battle cruiser, wouldn't you? So,
probably
pretty close to that. Yeah, but
hopefully,
but obviously it's easier to man one of these than a javelin because it's like half as many people. Your org probably needs to grow a little bit to get a javelin and 2 Idrises out at the same time because that's like literally 160 people.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people.
There would be a lot of people. Yes.
Yeah. So it's got to grow a little bit.
The way that we view and the way that I have looked at this entire thing is we're constantly looking at the pathway of like gateways. If we have this many members, what can we do? If this many members, what can we do?
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these ships, bigger ships are, is they're just gateways. If we have the people, we'll use them.
Yep. That's it. And I think that's the most clever way you can kind of look at it. You can only, what do we say, Algared? Plan for the worst, expect the best. I think that's kind of all you can really do when the game is.
Or plan for the best and expect the worst. Yeah, take your pick.
But we've talked about this since the beginning about like always aiming for what the game is going to be, and obviously you've got to deal with people all the way along as well. So it is kind of a refining as we've gone along with refining, but that end goal has really never changed too drastically. So it is kind of leaning into that. Right. Banner Merchantman, I think this kind of dovetails pretty naturally with the privateer and the Krakens. I don't think that's too excessive especially for the logistics stuff you guys are doing. In fact, I could almost see a couple more, to be honest with you, just based on the logistics stuff and the ability to sell stuff to other people and sell stuff to areas that are like with that humanitarian stuff that you guys talk about. Yep. I'm surprised you don't have a few more. I'm actually surprised how low this is. I thought it would be like double what it is. I'm not even joking when I say I thought it'd be excessive. It's not.
It is as low as it is because I have told people to not get their hopes up about its production because of CIG's 10 years of sitting on it.
I think you're going to see this in a couple of years' time. I don't think it's as far as you. But again, like Algared says, you do get loaners. I believe that you get some good, decent loaners for this. And again,
I'll say, yeah, I'd have to look it up. But
I'm not the best person to talk about the BMM with because I hate this ship. So
okay, well, you might hate it, but functionally, like a really strong thing about Fix My Fleet, right, is we do get people come in and they're like, I hate drag ships or I hate origin ships or whatever, right? But it's stripping a ship back to its functionality, and as a functionality, it's a mini privateer. That's essentially.
I was going to say, I think it's a poor man's privateer.
Yeah. So with everything you've told me about your logistics and the moving of resources and stuff like that, you should have more of these. If you've got 2 privateers, how are you going to feed those privateers, right? You're talking about logistics, you're talking about moving and selling and stuff like that.
Sure.
This is one you could use more of, based on what you've told us.
Loaners for the Merchantman: Hull C, Defender, Hercules C2.
And they're not terrible.
Oh,
They're
yes.
all really good right now.
No, those are all great. Those are all great. I don't have any issues. Like, I don't have any issues with the job of the Bonnie Merchantman as a ship. I just think that so many other ships that are just a little bit bigger do its job better. So that's why I just don't like it.
It's the flexibility of the ship, though, to have the shops. That's why it's so good. Selco, what are your thoughts on the Merchantman, man? I'm just curious.
You know, I don't have much skin in the game on the Merchantman. I don't have one myself, but I do see where you're going at with it. Yeah. It is a valuable resource to be able to show up somewhere and be able to set up shop. I do think it'll be a little quicker to use than the privateer.
Great.
You know, a little bit smaller, a little cheaper. I think it's probably going to be a little more maneuverable. It's the sporty, mobile shop. Yep. But you know, you're going to have to work around the quirks that it's going to have being an alien ship. So it's not going to be for everyone in that regard. But I do see it and ships like it being very valuable for us to be able to show up somewhere and provide wares to people, whether that is on a humanitarian basis or whether that is, you know, for the goal of making profit. You know, either way, it's going to be valuable.
So one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough with ships like this is high tier and low tier, right? So obviously you can see there's a lot more industry-based stuff within the Drake sphere. This is a lot more high tier, right? So you're going to get a lot more tech sold through this. You will still be able to sell resources and that through this, but a lot of the high design stuff, the one I always use an example is the taco truck versus a high-end restaurant. You are not going to see a high-end restaurant in a privateer, but you would see one in a Banner Merchantman. But you're not going to see a taco shop in a Banner Merchantman, but you would clearly see one in a privateer, right? So there is a quality difference as well. So having that variety is a boon, right? So again, you know, if you want to deal in technologies and things like that, and think about medical and medical aid, you're going to get a lower quality medical aid from that. But you want a tier 1 bed type thing, that will probably appear in the Banner Merchantman, but it more than likely wouldn't appear in the Drake, as an example. And I'm not saying that's concrete. I'm trying to give you an example.
Yeah, it's just like we know that they're talking with a privateer and a Kraken of possibly adding a medical facilities.
Yeah.
With the BMM, it's already got medical facilities.
Yeah.
So that's a contrast there.
And you wouldn't, for example, Algared, I think it would be on tier with other, at best, it would be on tier with the other larger ships that would get like a tier 2 bed. It wouldn't get a tier 1 as an example.
No, the only difference I think in the medical facility is you bathe in the goo rather than have a goo kind of injected.
Yeah. But you could, what I'm saying is, for an example, you could have a medical shop potentially that comes up in the Battle Merchantman that does allow you to have a tier 1 bed, right? And you're getting that because you're giving up one of the shop slots. But where
that is a possibility.
Yeah, that is and I would not expect to see a tier 1 medical ship or medical shop put into a Pioneer. So again, this is just, we don't have concrete evidence of this, but it is that there's enough evidence leaning into what we've seen around the room system, how they've talked about different buildings and stuff like that, that you've got to understand that a ship is just a part of the room system when it comes to shops, and they have talked about this. So we are connecting quite a few dots, but I would expect. Do you see what I'm trying to say? I don't want to go on, but do you guys see what I'm trying to say? You're going to have a
I
different,
completely agree.
A different quality. So you want to have both of them.
I don't have anything objective against the BMM. Yeah. I have subjective things. Well, I don't begrudge anyone that has one. I think it will be very good at what it's designed to do when we have it.
Yep.
I just think there are other ships that I might want to use more than a BMM.
So for any of your org people that are watching this after the fact, what I would suggest is if you've got any feelings about the Banner Merchantman or uncertainty, is just pick up an upgrade and sit on it. Because at least then you're locking in that $650 price. If you've got the credit there, just buy it and leave it in your hangar. And basically then when the ship comes out, if it speaks to you, you can buy one. But if you put it in your buyback, the price will go up. So you've got to put it in your hangar.
So
Right.
in November 2014,
Hmm?
CIG actually had an article, the Banu Merchantman. It was called Clipper Ship Banu Merchantman. So if you picture the old idea of a clipper ship being fast and
What date did you
sleek,
say?
that was what it.
What date was it? 2014.
2014.
Yeah,
2014.
it's been updated twice since then.
It's grown. It's grown. But just picking up those ideas, or what I did say about it,
It was more like the Raelian back then, and essentially you'd agree, Algared, that the Raelian has become what the Merchantman wasn't really intended to be initially. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Selko and Fish, do you want to tell us about the whole D? I think it's pretty much the similar situation to the E.
It is almost copy and paste.
Yep. So
I mean, it's a smaller, lower level. Let's say our E's are getting used for a massive, gigantic construction push. We might use a D to construct a fob, load everything onto a D for a fob. Same push.
Yeah. So I think we can move past that one pretty quickly. There's nothing I can really add there. There's one of them, and there's two E's. Kind of makes sense to me. I think you'd agree, Algared.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. 890 jumps. Do you guys want to tell us about these ones? What are these for? Why is there 3?
I think these are all the hubris of the people that own them, because it's not so much an asset in any of our primary roles. However, Selko is quite fond of using this as a diplomatic ship. It's a great ship for meeting with other groups and hosting other groups. We actually have a member in our org, his name is Alan, that has a tour company. And people pay him to get on the 890. HLN puts security and crew with it, and we tour people around. We have our own little tour gameplay going on.
Yeah,
it's like a secondary for fun asset that people own, and we use it when it's appropriate. But
so you've justified the existence to me of one of them. Okay, I'll give you the one.
Correct.
The other two, Banu Merchantmans. If you want luxury, go to Banu Merchantmans, because it's Algared will tell you. We actually have a running theory that the reason why the Banu Merchantman increased in size, there was an 890 jump variant that had maul. There was a maul variant, wasn't there, Algared? And we firmly believe that that's what is the Banu Merchantman has become. It was going to be what a variant of the 890 jump was going to be.
I do believe that all 3 of these are owned by people that are not in command of our group.
Yep.
They are just people that own them.
Algared, do you want to just...
Yeah, look, in terms of the 890 jump versus the Banu Merchantman, I always view the Banu Merchantman as luxury, but it's Trumpian luxury, as opposed to
I can see that.
Plated, and it's that in your face
business luxury instead as opposed to
actual real
splurging
nice stuff.
Yeah. No,
so I see that balance. The 890 jump is actually, I think, better than a lot of people give credit for. Yes, it does have a lot of wasted space inside it at present, but it has a hangar that can take 3 arrow fighters arranged, 2 at the back, 1 at the front, so it can just come up and down without needing fancy twisting of the ships. It's got a hangar bay, or it's got a cargo bay. It's got plenty of individual rooms if you want your crew to have rooms and storage. It's light on main weaponry, like it's only got a size 5 man turret and a couple of smaller turrets and remote turrets, but it does have 7 PDCs. So it's actually not a slouch in defending itself. It does have the ability to project, but
it does lose the cargo count though of the Banu Merchantman. So it's just not as functional as a Banu Merchantman. But I very much think from what you said about what you do, Selko, and you take out and be diplomatic, I can totally see that, and it would put a lot of people at ease to be in essentially a flying safe room. So I can definitely justify one of them. Yeah.
It doesn't come off as imposing as if you come up in an Idris for the supposed diplomatic meeting. So I think it works well for that, and we tend to host at least one big party on one a year for the org. So it works good as its intended use as a luxury party vessel.
If the party overflows, you could probably have 2 parties and 2 ships next to each other. I could see that too. Three's probably a bit excessive though for me from an org level level.
But then individual fleets, individuals like their ships, and having one in a fleet is not in your fleet is not necessarily disgusting. It's just,
Oh, this is disgusting. Clearly, they're not a member of the cult.
No,
I am. One of
Episode's
these is
over.
mine, and
I'm going
I
home.
am.
I have the very first thing I have on my notes is Endeavours 3.
I completely agree with this sentiment. I am an active member of the cult. One of these is mine.
Yep.
I love this ship. This is what, this is quintessential humanitarian aid.
Well, especially with
this is one of my favorite ships.
With the Hope variant, that's definitely going to be way up there. You can literally see one of these sitting up with a privateer, or a spaceport or whatever you build. You can totally see that. And then not to mention the benefits that all the research area brings your org and technology. And then also what if you've got to grow food for people that are down on a planet that are starving, so this is way up there with your mandate. Really, really, really highly up there.
I completely agree. I think the reason that you don't see more is the pie in the sky Endeavor post 1.0.
Yeah.
People don't want to wait on their ship, and that's why it's not there.
So again, anyone watching this after the fact, pick up a Gemini to Endeavor CC for $10, just like I was saying with the Banu and set on it.
And that is something that's worth doing. Like one of the key things with this ship, yes, it's not coming out until after 1.0, but it's still its original concept price, $350 for the base.
So cheap for what it is.
That is dirt cheap for what it's going to be.
Yep. All right. So before the episode, I was sitting here going, one Polaris. But no, there's actually a whole shitload of them. So there's that's probably too many. But again, it does allow you guys to diversify out. But what it kind of tells me is that there'll be some kind of Corvette that'll come along at some point that'll probably, a lot of these would be rotated off to, I'd have to imagine. Because again, being that Polaris is like the tip of the spear, it's really good against other capital ships, but it's not exactly designed to punch down. It's really designed to punch up. Yes, obviously it can take on fighters and stuff like that, but I'm talking about like a Perseus. It's not, you'll use some of the torpedoes against a Perseus or a Hammerhead, but they
operate at different roles, don't they?
Yeah, it's a little bit overkill. You really want to justify the price of those torpedoes. Like they're like $500,000 a pop type of thing. Like you really want to bang for your buck. So I think we're kind of waiting for a ship that's more tailored. Like I'd assume something with like a mini railgun or something like that, like a little railgun turret or something like that might be on the cards down the road. Take that railgun off the Idris and, put it on a smaller ship. I think that's really where the Corvette you guys are kind of looking for. Now, I'm not saying that that's coming, but you have to imagine there is clearly a gap in the Corvette lineup. You've got all these big ones up at one end, and you've got all these other things like the Perseus and the Pallet and all this shit at the other. Where the hell is that in the kind of Corvette lineup? And it's just not there. So, yeah, the Corvette is there's not too many ships that kind of sit in that, especially for military. But you're kind of looking at like a Reclaimer, the Polaris, and the Odyssey. I think I can't think of any others that are officially that kind of fall into that Corvette class. All the others, so when you go to the 890 jump, that's more in the capital vein. The Banner Merchantman's more in the capital vein. I'm talking about that right on that small cusp of the smallest capitals, and there's only really 3 of them. And as you can see, one's industrial, one's kind of semi-industrial with the Odyssey. It's more money-making focused, and then you've obviously got the Polaris, which is the only really military one. So there is, knowing how predominant combat is in the game right now, there is clearly a gap there for something else. Now, I don't know who's going to make it, but when that come along, I think it'll be one of the most popular ships in the game, and that's why we've never seen it. Because if they make that after 1.0, they can now we know no more concepts are coming along. Bank. Utter bank. And if the Polaris is $975, I think you guys would already agree it's going to be over 1,000 straight off the bat. So yeah, Algared, anything you want to add to that, or?
No, I think the Polaris is, it's a sub. not subcapital, smallest capital.
Yep.
It is basically a Corvette. It's basically what the Idris was originally designed to be.
Yep.
So the Idris was originally the Corvette. It grew in size to become the frigate, and there was a void, and the Polaris fills that void.
Yep.
But yeah.
Do you agree with me though that we might see another combat variant?
I would expect to see more variants of Corvettes of that size. Yeah.
Yeah. You can clearly kind of see, if you look at it, even looking at a fleet like this, you can kind of see those Polarises and Reclaimers. There's a lot more ships above it in size, and there's a lot more below it. But just specifically at that S5 size, there is just not a lot of ships.
Yeah.
It is probably the smallest category in the entire game, where there's a lot of the ones below, and there's a lot of ones. But S5 is just a really weird category. There's only 3 ships in the entire thing.
Yep.
Very strange. But I assume, what are you intending to kind of use your Polarises for? Do you think you guys have too many of them?
I think we have too many generally. You're seeing a similar phenomenon to the Idris, backed up again with the Polaris, where it was the best ship at what it did for a time.
Yep.
And a lot of people in the upper ranks got them so that we could use them. We still use them today, but their use fluctuates with numbers. If we have a high amount of numbers that day, the Idris comes out. But if it's a middle of the week up and we don't have the crew for the Idris, the Polaris comes out.
So would
it'll
you
serve a similar role?
Full of numbers, we bring out both of them.
Yep.
We bring up.
So I assume if they brought out one that was $50 more than a Polaris, you'd see what half the people flip them over to the other one.
A bunch would, yeah.
So I think the short answer is it's a story of its time. So this is probably going to change. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there then. Right. Reclaimer. So this is really weird. Like, you go back and look at the Orion, only having 3, and then here you've got literally
8.
6.
Top.
8?
This is a story.
Yeah.
This is a story of what is in game versus what is not in game. That's what this is.
Yeah. 100%. I'd almost say you've probably got too many, to be honest, at this point.
Sure. For sure we do.
But again, I can see that, like maybe some of these get turned into refinery ships. Maybe some of these get cold a little bit along the way. But again, maybe as the org grows, you go into them as well. So, again, this is just another thing you have to play by ear. And this is going to become a common thing here because, again, we're talking on an org level here. But again, at the moment, it does look like you've got too many. But we don't know what the future's going to hold for your org, do we?
But if you're weighing up the Reclaimer against any of the smaller salvage vehicles, this
it's night and day.
Yes, I know.
It's night and day. You take out this rather than 5. You take out 5 vultures, which is the crew of this, and this still outperforms the 5 vultures.
Yep.
So sure does all day.
And going forward, RMC is going to be the building block of everything we do, and construction. So those 2 things you produce. Yeah, they're the building blocks we need. So yeah. I don't think it's too many. I think it's probably just about right.
Yeah,
because it gives you that ability to spread out.
Yeah, Odysseys. I think you're probably about right here in your number of Odysseys because, again, these are finding things. They're not going to find big base level areas every day of the week, but it allows you to, like, say, search 2 planets. So at the same time, and when they do finally find something, you've essentially got more pioneers than you need. Like, it really shows because look at the speed that these things are going to be able to find them. I think these things are going to be selling off half of what, like 90% of what they find, and you'll only keep the best bases for yourself type of thing, or ones that you decide to build a base on and sell the whole base off because it makes it more profitable for yourselves, or whatever your customer is looking for. So again, this may grow depending on whether you fill all those pioneers or it may not. So this is, again, I can't answer certain questions when I don't know what the one before it's going to be, if you know what I mean. So, yeah. Algared, do you want to weigh in on that one?
No. Look, we've often said this is a planetary survey ship. Probably the key thing that I always point out is when this came out, we actually did that comparison with the pilot's cab on this to the Endeavour, and it gave you an idea of how big the Endeavour would grow. Yeah. Just based on that, on the pilot's cab. And this almost seemed to be about the size of that. first part of the Endeavour.
What might be useful here, I'm looking at the next ship, the Carrack, is maybe one of those Carracks upgrading to an Odyssey. That's probably where I go, because you've probably got too many Carracks. Like, you've essentially got, 2 Carracks almost there per Odyssey, and I reckon you kind of don't quite need that many, because again, the Carracks are searching space where these are taking long time runs just to search one planet.
Yeah.
So yeah, you probably need more planetary explorers than space explorers, put it that way.
And one of the things that stands out, and it's the thing that caught me very early on as well, I was thinking, I've got a Carrack, do I need an Odyssey? And it was actually the pad size thing. The Odyssey is a bigger ship than the Carrack. They're doing different role than the Carrack. So there's a whole pile of different things that you take into account. So they're doing a similar job, but different roles.
That's a large. The Carrack is the largest size 4, and the Odyssey is only slightly larger, but that's what pushes into the S5 category.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's the capital, and this is a large. Anyway, real quick, Selco and Fish, like, what is your intent with these? I've got to assume it's got something that goes into helping you find land claims, I'm looking at the humanitarian side of it. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Selco.
So yeah, you're talking about the Carrack, right?
Carrack and the Odyssey.
Yep.
So I see them, as we were just discussing, really just being used to explore space, maybe a bit of a vanguard type of ship, to send it out to, if we maybe hear of distress, a raid that had occurred on some player settlement. I could see something like the Carrack being maybe the initial ship that arrives to provide that kind of trauma response, seeing what's going on. It has the facilities aboard it to be self-sufficient. So it's that good vessel to show up first, figure out what's going on, and relay back to whatever home base that ends up being, what the situation is and what other resources, if any, need to arrive. But it's the same idea really with the Odyssey, except maybe with a larger scale available to it. It's able to do a little bit more.
Yeah. So the Carrack does lean itself more to the humanitarian side than the Odyssey. The Odyssey's got a bit more industrial / on the planet type of thing. But yeah, they're both capable of delivering that. But I think the Carrack's probably better at it. And with the modules, Algared, I think you would agree that more than likely one of those modules will end up being something medical based.
When I did talk about modules way back in the day, it was extra crew quarters, medical bays, and extra science stations. So they were the types of things they talked about, but they never went in and designed them like they did with the Endeavour. So
what we've seen though that leads into it is most of the modules tend to take what the ship already does and expand it.
Yeah.
So that's what we've seen in a lot of the modular ships that we've seen. So I would assume a medical module, the cartography, so like some kind of an additional explorer thing, the extra cargo that we already have, and then probably something around the lines of repair, which all, as you see, go like the repair and the medical do lean in that humanitarian area. And that, so now I kind of look at that. The numbers are fine. So again, you'll just have to adjust those as you go with your people. Like how many people do you need, and how, you might even see the number of those grow over time.
The other thing that comes back to the Endeavour is if you have the Endeavour Discovery with the great big telescope, the telescope will actually be what's finding those areas of interest or possible areas of concern. And then you send your Carrack or your Odyssey, depending on which area you're checking out. So
it tends to trickle down, doesn't it? You've kind of got your Discovery that finds something, sends the Carrack then finds the planets, that then sends the Odyssey, and then the Odyssey sends the smaller explorers after that. So it's a trickle down economy. Right. The Nautilus. I'm really happy to see that you've actually got some of these, especially what we talked about with the Privateer and the Endeavour and stuff like that, because these are the only real defense ships in the game. So the ability to deploy some minefields and sentries, and this does feel about right, because you've also got to maintain them as well. But it wouldn't hurt to have someone have an upgrade or something, say from one of the other ships that you could possibly spin off into this. But again, 2 Nautiluses seems about right to me for where we're at.
This is probably the only other military corvette type ship we've got, and it feels a bit small for.
It's not a corvette.
Against a Polaris.
CIG John Crew calls them corvettes, but it's technically in a different size class. It's an S4. So is he calling all S4s and S5s corvettes, which is it's against their own metrics. So and I called him out on that because he called the Ironclad a corvette, and it's not because a Polaris is a corvette, which they've already called. So what's your pick? Pick one, John.
Yeah.
You can't have it as both. It's either these are the corvettes and then the Polaris isn't, or the Polaris is and this isn't. So take your pick.
I actually call the Polaris the frigate, the frigate a destroyer.
Yeah, but you know they've got their names backwards. You know that. We're not going to get into that now. But yeah, what do you guys see? Is that how you guys see this? Is a ship that can like deploy the sentries and the mines, and then you can kind of like offload the crew and put them in another ship? And this is like a maintenance vehicle? How do you guys see these being used?
The Nautilus has always occupied a niche, an extreme niche in my headspace.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, we don't know enough about minefields in 3D space and how CIG intends to deal with the geometric problems that come along with that. However, the gameplay...
They did actually talk about that quite extensive. They're all in circles. So if you just have interlocking spheres, they can cover each other. That's basically how they work within 3D space. Yep, but go ahead.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
I'll understand it much better when we can see it. But
they did a whole article on it. I'll have to find it and link it to you. But they did a whole article that had diagrams and shit.
You could probably use the current star bases or base stations we've got as an indication. You go out and have a look at where their
for sure,
platforms
absolutely
outside. That gives you an idea of what the mine layout would be, because the mines are not just exploding mines; they're also turrets and things like that.
And they they also alluded to possible bigger mine layers in the future. So this might be the smallest of possibly 2 more. Because again, if this is only deploying S5 mines, which are equivalent to an S5 torpedo, which is what the Gladiator and the Harbinger have, this is really designed for anti-fighter things. But as soon as you got capital ships, you might need some bigger mines. What I'm actually hoping they do with this is they modify it so it can deploy 3 different types of mines. So if you've got like, what was it? I think it was like 8 small mines. Maybe you can put out like 2 little sized mines or something like that, right? And then, you know, or 4 medium-sized mines, or whatever you want to call it, right? Or large-sized mines. That's how I think they need to go with this. I probably wouldn't have 3 different ships. And I think one of the reasons why this is taking so long is I think it's going to come back for a rework. That's where my belief is. But again, I've got nothing to back that up. That's just a gut feeling. And there's a reason why it's sat there as long as it has. Like, it's sat there for a very long time. To the point that they deleted the previs video from the internet. The only people I know that have a copy of it, they now have a copy of it offline. Why did they delete it? Because it's probably going to change.
And one thing that does, I think, speak at least to this ship having some value is the fact that it's got a single turret the same size as what we find on the
that is
what was meant to be the old
my brain.
Old Perseus. But old Perseus.
So in our niche and our operations of what we want to do, this type of ship is something that I would deploy with, let's say, a Pioneer and a Kraken. Because while we're constructing that fob, while we're constructing that base, we want to set up something to help us defend. But that's what this is.
But even after that, it's the first layer of defense that they've got to get through is those sentries in the mines. I've always seen this as like almost like the Ares with the sniper capability, right? I've always seen this almost like a spider on a web spitting at you, right? So sure. And there are spitting spiders, by the way. There's even ones that have bowlers. There's even ones. The one I always talk about, the one in Australia, is an interesting fact. Go look this up. The dive bell spider. It actually builds a pocket of air under the water and lives for up to, I think it's up to a week under the water, and it catches like little mosquito larvae as they swim around. How weird is that? Spiders
I
live
swear.
underwater. Anyway, right.
I swear Australia has the scariest animals.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Oh, don't let me. I don't want to know about the butthole spider. Then you'll hate that one, Fish.
Nope.
Made that one up.
No
but
thanks.
Anyway. The trapdoor gives new meaning to the trapdoor spider, doesn't Algared all of a sudden? Anyway, and Algared lives in the area where they are. Yeah, he knows all about those ones. Right. So long story short, I expect changes for this, but I think it is I own one of these. I know Algared owns one of these, and it is a very niche ship. But I think when it does finally arrive, people are going to like clamber to get one because of it's the only super defensive ship we've got in the game, right? Yep. And I think at an org level, this is one of those like again when you've got not enough of them, you only need a couple, but just having a couple is dire need. And I think you would agree with that, Algared?
Look, I think if you've got a Kraken, if you've got a Pioneer, and you're doing anything, even if you've got a capital ship on station, and you're just sitting there doing stuff, you want to be able to lay mines or turrets out that are going to aid in the defense of that ship.
Yep, and it gives you
or give that early warning. If someone's trying to penetrate, you can get to your stations instead of suddenly getting hit.
Allows you to kind of prep and have more defenses, and you don't need people for it, and that's a massive boon because people, like you guys were saying, trying to man an Idris is difficult. Well, if you don't need people, you see what I mean? Like it gives you free people. So it's kind of really strong.
Yep.
Right, we kind of talked about the Arastra, but obviously we don't really need to go over this really again, do we, guys? Like it was.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we kind of covered that one already.
Yep.
So we'll move on to the assault, which I was kind of surprised to see there are 6 assaults and 5 ironclads. Again, I think this has got to lead into your kind of military style. Is that why there's you guys see there being so many?
I just think the ironclad in general is going to be a very versatile, well-used ship, especially when it first launches, providing some ability to move things that right now are a little more complex to move in much easier ways.
Finally compete with that darn Hercules platform that I wish would die. Like I'm so tired of using the C2 and the M2 for everything, and they are so limited. And the Ironclad's family alone can do so much more than those Hercs can.
Yeah, I can see that. So I can definitely see it. Yeah. It's going to lean into ground operations for you guys, so I can see why you got so many of them. Also, the Ironclad itself is just a really good cargo mover. So yeah, I can see that.
It'll be great for moving needed supplies around, but it also is just as good at dropping, a handful of novas onto the planet's surface to assault a location.
And when you start to look at the Banner Merchantmans that you have there, you can see that you could dovetail some Ironclads with some Banner Merchantmans. So maybe you don't need as many Banner Merchantmans because you're going for more cargo, but then you still need the shops that can sell them off. So. And again, I think the other thing I'd add there, Algared, is both you and I are expecting to see a lot more shop ships in the future. So there probably might even be a smaller luxury, a smaller low tech, a medium tech one as well. I think you'd agree with me on that, Algared. So there's some ships there that we haven't seen that you'll probably be interested in.
Even based on what they've hinted at for the Caterpillar, I would not be surprised to see a shop ship on the Caterpillar.
I'd agree with that 100%. Yep, 100% agree with that. Yeah. So yeah, that again, it would be a great cargo truck. Just do that right now. That'd be great. So yeah, there's nothing there I can really complain about at all, quite honestly. This one I think is an interesting one because I really think the Liberator's changed in the last little while, don't you, Algared? And so when I start to think of the fact that you guys have so many Ironclads, I probably think you maybe need 1 or 2 more Liberators because you're going to want those ships to defend the vehicles you're deploying. So I would obviously look at deploying the Ironclads along with the Liberators. But again, you don't have as many Liberators as you do Ironclads. So yeah, just something to think about. These are like Kraken lights, aren't they, Algared, in a way?
Yeah, when they first came out, they were certainly a shipping ship. They were just a ferry. They were designed, I think, with the idea of ferrying ships that didn't have jump drives into planets like systems like Nyx. that changed when they basically gave every ship except snob ships a jump drive.
Yeah. Agreed.
And that means this will really need to go for a redesign, I think.
Yeah. I am almost expecting, Algared, and you feel free to weigh in here, but I'm almost expecting that this gets some kind of small fabricator like the Ironclad. I think it really needs it. Because at the moment it basically is half Ironclad, half a light Kraken, and basically what it needs to be is probably just a light Kraken, and do just ships. And then if it did just ships, I think you'd be fine. But one that does half and half just is really weird, and it was really weird when it came out, and it's still really weird now. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where the production of that goes. But I think if you've got any people that have an Ironclad, Fish and Selco, I'd be looking at possibly having them sit on a CCU just to gauge their interest. And again, you can pick those up for around about, what is it, $25? I think you can get a decent one for this for. And
that's generally thinking of the idea that this will go up in price. So it's a concept ship. It hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So price that we got is the lowest price it'll be. So,
well, the problem is the Ironclad Assault's going to come out first, and I think it's going to jump past this, and that's the problem. And then this will come out, so you're going to miss the advantages of the price jumps either way you go. So probably the best bet right now is knowing what the price was at $540 to $575. You're talking $35 difference. Obviously, there's a different tech level here as well, being Anvil and being military versus civilian. Low tech with a Drake, so I can see the justified price differences. But like to look at the tech that is on the Ironclad Assault, I can't see some of that coming across to this. So it's a hedging of the bets there. Just not all of them, but you got 6 of them, but maybe 1 or possibly 2. If you're an org looking at, if you guys are talking, because I'm assuming Selco and Fish, you're going to go back and sit down and watch this with a whole bunch of people, right? So is that what you're planning? Right?
Yeah.
I'll probably turn it up, and we'll see if Algared can turn up as well. But we'll probably sit down and go through it with you. But long story short, there's a gap. There's a gap there, right? There's a gap.
Look, if members of your org decide, look, I do want to modify their ship, they come along and we can do a fixed mode fleet. With the endeavour of helping them tailor their fleet more to fit in with your org if that's what they want. But that's.
I see what you did there.
That'd be a really cool follow up. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, again, maybe that's something we can do in the future. If you guys go through and make a bunch of changes, we could do a follow up one of these. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I have only a couple thoughts about the Liberator. I'm only saying this for the bit for everybody in my org that's going to watch it. A controversial opinion. I think the Anvil Liberator, and I am one of the 2 on the screen. I am one of the 2 owners when I say this. I think it's a bit of an ugly duckling. I don't know what it can do that ships that only need slightly more crew than it can't do 1,000 times better. And I have a real big problem with CIG's naming conventions around this ship because I don't actually think it's a carrier. And
I think we're talking about its name being the Liberator because there's 6 Liberators in game.
Oh, yeah, I agree. That too. That on top of everything else.
If you count skins and ships and all this, it goes up to like there's 6, and there's things mentioned in lore as well. There's literally 6 things called the Liberator. They like using the same names all the time, and then just this one will do. So they draw it out of a hat.
Yeah.
This week it's the Liberator.
Yeah, for sure.
So they've only got half a dozen names they use. Yeah.
2 hammerheads. I'd almost call this a little light.
This is very light. The reason you see so few
high number
is
per crew.
The realist high number per crew plus the current in-game reality that this ship sucks at doing its job. And that is the reason you don't see more.
Well, it's
really bad at doing the one thing it's supposed to do.
It's up for a gold pass at the moment, and one of the episodes we've pre-recorded to put it in the bank while Algared is away is a
Hammerhead review.
Is a Hammerhead review.
I look forward to watching it.
Yeah,
it is a ship that is underperforming at the moment in game, and it does have some glaring issues, as Bobs has shown us by.
But they're all fixable.
One flyover with a light fighter wiped out its power plants. So
yep.
I think that's
it's a mess. It's a mess.
I think that's a cart before the horse problem, and I think again once
I
armor
too.
and that comes in, it'll all disappear.
Hopefully, but one of the things that this ship is really key for and designed for, it's fighter and ordnance defense. So it's taking out torpedoes and missiles and fighters, and there's no other ship that does that.
Yep.
I completely agree. I just wish that CIG would make the adjustments necessary to make it actually good at its job.
Okay, we've got 3 caterpillars, which I think is a bit low. They are essentially like a mini Endeavour, but on the low tech scale. Oh, please don't crash it. It's getting very close to crashing because there's so many ships on my screen. But yeah, we've got 3 caterpillars. Again, with the cargo and the versatility and the other things, it's a very hard. I've held on to mine. It's the very beginning, and it's a very hard ship to hold on to because they've just never detailed out the shit. So you look at all these things where people say, oh, in the game right now, the Caterpillar's in a terrible place right now. Absolutely shocking. But if it comes with half of what's been promised, it'll still be one of the best ships in the entire game.
I agree with you.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When we were talking with Ben and John, we actually asked about the modules for the Caterpillar, and they said they were still coming.
Yep.
They were still on the boards. So
and
there
was 11 that they announced.
Well, they talked about as possibilities, but
yeah, they never. Well, they so back when they originally announced, they said there were 11 modules, but they never told us what the 11 were.
Yep.
So again, if there was 11, I'd expect to see, because you got to remember there's the ones at the back and then there's the nose one. So I think he said it was like 4 nose ones and 5 or 7 things at the back. So yeah.
To give John a caveat, he did say we haven't sold them.
Yep.
We're not beholden to make them.
Yeah, that's true. And
there will be modules for the Carrack.
Yeah, and they've never
for the Caterpillar.
But they've never told us what they are. And we've often suspected, like one of the ships we're about to talk about is the Galaxy. We've actually suspected a lot of the modules for the Galaxy have moved over. And just to look at here, right, looking at what the ship we're about to go into is the Galaxy. Look how many more Galaxies there are because people know about it and what it can do.
Yep.
So that
is
again,
exactly the reason.
Yeah, I'd exactly see the Caterpillar fold out when we know more about it. And I've wanted to know more about it for a very long time.
And the thing with the Caterpillar and the Galaxy, if you've got the Caterpillar just standard and you've got the Galaxy in cargo mode, they carry exactly the same amount of cargo.
They do.
So you're effectively looking at a low tech version versus a high tech version of the same ship.
I'd agree with that entirely.
Completely agree.
Or maybe, I don't know, RSI tried to go into the luxury area, but sometimes they're in the middle area as well. It depends whether you got civilian or whatever. So it might be a middle tech as well. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
It's certainly higher than
it's definitely different. I'll give you that. Yeah, it's definitely different. I'll give you that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can justify that with the medical bay. I can justify that with the cargo area. I can also see it working with the refineries for the Orions and the Arastras. I've got no complaints there. You know, again, if it does the base building or some form of manufacturing, that also leans into it as well. I with everything they've told me, I can't fault it.
Yeah. No.
Right. Makes sense. 1 Starfarer Gemini and 1 Starfarer. That is a little bit low.
This is light, especially for your industry, humanitarian side. So this is a glaring hole from what I
would say. This is purely because the Starfarer is
terrible, doesn't work, sucks.
Yep. But I would say that probably needs to be 2, maybe 3 times as many, so 4 to 6.
Completely agree with you.
But again, I think we're getting to the point where we're seeing that it's a now versus then problem. Yeah.
But we
also CIG won't stop putting stations that have gas everywhere. So like, you know, when they stop letting us have easy access to fuel, people will buy more.
That'll change over
There's
time.
going to be a point where we'll be delivering gas to stations.
Yeah,
I agree.
To refuel them.
Yep.
But we also expect down the pack there will be a larger version of it, a capital version of
and smaller as well.
And smaller. So
yeah, I've nicknamed it the Nebula, the bigger one, because it's essentially this goes into planets and nebula and eats them. I'm assuming the Nebula will literally not be able to go into planets, but it can just consume like almost like this is the Arastra, the Orion. So the Orion, where it munches entire asteroids, I'm assuming the Nebula, it just eat the entire nebula, and just collect up all the gas, whatever that is. And I've, you know, again, wait and see what it turns out to be. But yeah.
But for what the Star Ferry is at the moment, it's got 12 passenger seats in the cargo bay. It's got a massive cargo bay.
I'm slightly ashamed about this next one.
The Gemini has a size 5 turret versus size 4. So yeah.
I'm sorry.
18 Perseuses. Holy fuck.
I hope you upgraded to those. That's a lot of credits to it.
There's a lot.
Almost every single person in our group that owns a Perseus got it for significantly less than what a Perseus is supposed to cost.
Yeah,
this is hook, line, sinker.
Yeah,
it's new, shiny. Everybody wants to have it. Ship. We have 18. It's too many. Half of them need to go.
So I can tell you right now, this ship is prime to turn into what you remember talking before about another Corvette. That is prime to go up into a bigger Corvette, into the S-size S5, right? Now, as I said, John Crew's calling S4s and S5s Corvettes. That's not correct from what they've told us in the past. So I think there's very clearly more S5s coming because, as I said before, there's only 3 of them. So that I would say they are prime contenders to upgrade into something larger along the line. Yeah, in the S5 category.
Completely agree.
A couple of them could be turned into Odysseys as an example. You were light on Odysseys. If you need more Carracks, if you need more Nautiluses, like all those things that we went along and talked about. Any ship above there that is primed to upgrade into, especially if it hasn't released, like so things like the Liberator or the Ironclad Assault or Ironclads that will jump in price and hopefully go past what the Perseus came out at.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be the biggest barrier for upgrading the Perseus if people decide they wanted to, is the current price point and the ships above it. So but yeah, look, it is the flavour of the month. It is a ship that people like. It does have the advantage of having a very low crew count and being able to do those bigger missions. So yeah,
I'm kind of impressed. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
It is a ship that was so highly anticipated by the entire community. I mean, even I fell to the pressure and burned up some CCU links to get myself one just because I wanted one.
Me and Algared went and got one too.
Yeah,
we didn't get one concept. Yeah. Well, again, I blame myself a lot. I hyped the shit out of that ship on SC Leaks that year when it came out. Like I did some heavy lifting. Me and the other people at Pipeline that year, and we hyped the shit out of it. Well, man, it got so hyped. I don't know if you remember, but we did we had a picture of it, and they took the shit out of us on the Jax McCleary episode on the screen. You know, the little hand. Do you remember that? So that's how I knew when that turned up on an episode. I was like, yeah, they're taking the piss, right? So that's how I knew it was they'd got the message.
Now I've got to admit, I've pulled it out into the hangar. I've never taken it out because so what? But I do really like the layout of a Perseus versus the layout of the Polaris. I hate the layout of Polaris, but the Perseus just feels feels so right.
He that'll all come back to the Polaris Algared.
But even just walking around and finding a way, it just feels natural, whereas the Polaris just feels big and almost stuffed.
I haven't seen I haven't had the same problem with the Polaris because it's essentially just one long top floor and then one long bottom floor. It's not that difficult.
To me, it felt more like the Star Fury, the Star
Pharaoh.
You know, the big misc ship. But
Star Pharaoh. I can see what you're talking about, but no.
It just felt.
It's fine. Again, once you got the signage in, it really does need the signage. And as I talked about on one of the episodes we recorded this week, Ben's learned a bit, and I think Ben's realized how important signage is. Right, Hercules. I am kind of very, I won't say proud, but that's not the right word. But you've got M4, the M2s, because they are the more military focused. You've also got the A2s, and you've just got one civilian one there. So I do think this kind of bodes. You guys have learned, and you know. You can clearly see your org is very well informed. People have been very kept up abreast. They they have made smart decisions when it comes to what they have brought in terms of fitting to the roles that your org is trying to accomplish. So yeah, I can't really fault any of this because again, 2 A2 bombers with a backup makes sense, and the same thing for that. And again, you're going to want a need for these still to go, even though you've got the ironclads. Sometimes you just want a smaller, quicker ship to get in there than an ironclad. So these are just a quick drop off. I can totally see that. And again, being the M2 with the extra armor makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of the whole Hercules series. I'm not a fan of Crusader. Crusader have become a bit on the nose for me. It's. I tend not to like the layout of the ships. I feel.
Anytime I feel bad, Algared, I just go back and watch that tier list episode of Paul and See the Six kicking the shit out of me about this ship when it landed.
Yep.
And I feel like I found like $1 million afterwards because we fought for like almost 3 hours, and I was saying only one other ship's got to come out with the funk. And again, 2 years later, the Liberator, and now the Ironclad and all that. And I've just been proven right because they just didn't have that foresight.
Is this an A tier ship or a C tier ship?
And now, Algared, what would you rate it now? Knowing what?
Well, I don't like it as a ship because of the layout, but it's probably a C tier, D tier.
Yeah, it's dropped quite significantly. And I was trying to say it was C tier, and they were trying to make it like S tier. And I think we ended up agreeing that it was like A or B or something.
I tried to stop them fighting. Stop! It's in the middle, guys. It's in the middle.
Yeah, but it was a 2 versus 1 argument so at the time. But yeah. All right,
600i.
Someone spent too much money. That's fine.
Yep, his name is Satch King. I'm going to call him out on the internet because I can. There you go, Satch. I love you.
I'd say basically these fall into the diplomatic thing. I'll let Selko talk on this one. Is this the thing?
The 600i?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that taking on, more of a ferrying role. If we need to move org members comfortably between places, touring, light diplomatic missions, something where you don't need the full ceremony of an 890 jump, but you want to have a nice place to sit down and discuss things. A 600i fits just fine in there.
Okay.
As far as any use outside of that, I don't see something like that having much function in a combat role unless it was really pressed into it. It's not good at moving cargo, but it's really good at comfortably moving people around.
So it's pretty much fallen into the similar role as the 890 jump, and these are just people's personal preferences of their own ships at this point.
The problem with 600i though is the interior is a lemon of a ship, and there is a rework. And if you go into the lore, the 600i is actually Origin's basically first cargo ship. So there was a dearth of cargo ships, and the 600i hull was made to haul cargo and solve a problem that the UEE had.
I would like to see that come out as a grey market. Like Grey's Market takes old broken 600i's and turns them into the original cargo, into the old cargo ships. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't mind seeing a cargo variant of it. I could see it. Certainly, it's when the rework comes. It certainly grows. We know that it will have cargo space for an over tank from what they've said. The exploration version is kind of. I don't think it's quite as good as the Carrack, but it's going to be up there.
Right, the Hull C. Again, 4 Hull Cs going into the logistics. I'm kind of surprised you don't have a few more of these, to be honest. But again, I'm not going to sit here and argue with numbers with you. I think scaling up into these might be something that happens in the future. But again, I can see why you've got 4 of them. It still does a lot of cargo, even at 4.
We used to have a lot more than this at a time. Then the whole C gameplay got really broken for a long time.
Yep.
And a lot of people CCU'd them, melted them. I'm one of those people. I think you'll see, and also they became viable in game at a relatively affordable price. So a lot of people just dropped them. But I think we could definitely stand to have 2, 3 more, and it wouldn't hurt at all.
Yeah, we're getting to that point now where we've been saying once people could buy ships in game, you can start to see why the bigger ships are more
advantageous,
better bang for the buck. So again, and I reckon that'll become more and more common in time, especially when they talk about increasing the in-game prices and the in-game time. Everything me and Algared have been saying for years will start to come true, and people will like, oh, they were right. But again, with the ones that have read all the documents and anyone else that's done that, they're on the same page of us. So yeah, we'll see.
For sure.
Right. The Crucible. I am
4
is a giant hole.
It's not
giant hole.
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, but I could do more.
I think it should double myself, and it might be enough then.
No, I actually think the only thing you have problem at the moment is how spread out they are, like the area of space that you're operating in. But let's think about it again. If you've only got enough crew right now to take out 1 javelin, you probably at best need two crucibles to pull off repairing that. You know what I mean? So again, at this point where you're at size-wise, I would say 4 is enough. But again, more people come in, and all of a sudden you got 2 javelins and 2 Idrises. And we go from 5 systems to 10 to 15 to 20. You see where I'm starting to go, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it is again. I would, watching this after the fact, it's a $10 Starfarer Gemini to Crucible upgrade for $10. Another one to buy and sit on. If you are even remotely interested in repair, that is one that I'd recommend. And I think Algared, you'd agree with me on that one.
Oh look, I think it's a ship that is underestimated in what it can do. Even just looking at the Scarab. The little repair bay garage that could be dropped off and use as batteries to do stuff. That Scarab, I think you worked out, is big enough for 8 Novas, wasn't it?
6.
Or was it 6?
I think it might have been 6, bro. It's been a long time since I did that, but yeah, good memory. I think it's about
massive load of Novas can fit in that Scarab.
So it could even technically do some what do you call it? Vehicle transporting. What you're saying. Yeah.
And the fact that it was designed to be able to hold a single Hornet in an enclosed space for repair, meaning that you could actually walk around it without needing a spacesuit, increases this ship. This ship is far more valuable than I think people give it credit for.
Yeah, I can't unsee some ties between the Liberator and the Crucible, to be honest.
No, I can't unsee either.
I'm really interested to see what happens there, because you could take one to be, you know what I mean? Or you could take the other to the other one. There is a connection there between the Liberator and the Crucible because of what's happened with fabrication and repair and all that over the years.
100%.
But the added advantage of this one is clearly that it do the bigger ships as well. But I think the Liberator is going to be a lot more closely tied with the Crucible than even we expected. And I'd expect the Crucible is the one that's got to grow. So the Liberator has the spot as the large.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see them actually, as they come to work on them, actually use them as almost similar hull or using something similar to that. Another advantage of this ship is, like the Reclaimer and the Carrot before it, this also has drones.
Yep.
So this has drones as well as...
Just touch on what you said there previously. I think that's why we're seeing the Liberator first. I think we'll see the Liberator and then the Crucible come after the Liberator. And I think it'll probably lean more into the stylings of the Liberator in the rework.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But again, we've seen that with other ships. Like, for example, the Galaxy got dropped back behind the Perseus for reasons not blaming anyone. Basically, that's why it's coming out, because they had to make changes to it. And it's the same thing here, because they're probably going to have to make more changes to the Crucible. It's going to come out after the Liberator.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's going to grow. It's going to grow in size, because it's still on the old metric.
Yeah, I think also we're going into the Gemini now. 2 is fine. But I would have thought you might have a bit more with the humanitarian and logistics element. Again, I think you, Selko and Fish, if you were to speak on this, I'm pretty sure it's because it's an unknown, much like we've seen already.
It's another big unknown.
Yeah.
I mean, to get into, to briefly touch on a little HLN lore, where we have a lot of ambition and plans to grow into kind of a universe-wide conglomerate, touching in a lot of gameplay, and something like transportation, touring, people moving, is something that we do have plans to eventually get into, but right now with that gameplay loop and this ship in particular being just a big unknown right now, there's just not a lot of people holding on to it. There's a lot of interest in it, and I know that if that gameplay were available, you know, right now, and the ship dropped right now, we would probably see this number triple.
Yeah, and it's the same thing here with the TAC and the Max. But you want to say something there?
Yeah, just with the Genesis, like when the Genesis came out, it was listed as being a modular ship or variants of ships, so star lifters and heavy hauling and, you know, Air Force One type arrangements.
I think when they come back to it, we
saw some of those things go off into the Hercules line. So the Starlift, you know, the Hercules Starlifter, literally, I think is one of those.
Would you agree, though, Algared?
Genesis was going to have.
In short, Algared, when it comes back around, it'll probably be variants.
Look, when they come around, they'll do something, but I don't think we'll see the heavy lifting like the Starfarer, the Hercules has, because I think that's been pulled off.
Right. The Starlancer, again, I think this is a product of its time. It's on a fairly newer ship. And it would be really good for you guys in game right now doing those group activities, because it is like a mini Polaris, so I could see why there are so many of them at the moment.
This is the primary ship of our Marines, and most of the ones you're seeing there are the Marines that own them, and they love it because it lets them do what they need to do.
Yep, I can totally say that. I'm not going to sit here and argue about that, because again, we're starting into the level now where we're moving away from org stuff into
more personal.
Yeah, we're not going to do, by the way, we're not going to do a lot of the small ships. We're going to cut this off in a little bit, so we're starting it towards the end now. So we've got 7 retaliators there. No, wait, that's not retaliators. 5 retaliators. I think that's reasonable. You know, again, smaller Polaris. High crew count, though. That's my only problem with the retaliator.
It's the biggest downside to it.
But it also does
the crew is
smuggling of cargo. So again, if you want to get something in kind of more stealthy, and especially if you're trying to get some medical supplies or something like that into the humanitarian aid, I can totally see you guys needing those. So yeah, right.
These primarily exist for our pie in the sky bomber wing existing one day. Those people have them for that reason.
Yeah. Are these Tauruses?
I believe that is Tauruses. Yes.
Yep. So again,
both Taurus.
Yep. I don't have anything to comment there on those, Algared. Do you have anything to add?
Nope.
No, I can totally see them being in need. That is a lot of Apollos. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's a lot of Apollos.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Look, a popular ship at the moment. Again, the humanitarian stuff, I can't, 14 people. We're starting to get an org of literally 40 people that are active. I can totally see that. I don't have a problem with 14 out of 40. And you got to remember, there's actually 100 people in the org, but these are just the active people. In a humanitarian org, I can't fault that. I just can't.
No, I had notes for the Endeavours, and I had questioned Apollos, Reds, Pisces, Galaxies. What numbers do they have in comparison? Because for the Endeavour Hope will be the piece of the resistance of medical gameplay. But as you go down, you've got variations to that, and the Apollo fits into that. So
I'm going to start skipping some ships here now because we're repeating ourselves. So Phoenixes, they fall under the personal luxury things. Same thing with the 400 eyes. The Aquilas here, I can see them as science, a little bit of exploration, so I've got no problem there. Mercury Star Runner, we obviously got the cargo there as well, a bit of data running. I can see that. We've got 3 Raelians, sorry, that kind of surprised me with the crew amount going up. I'd probably recommend you guys pick up some upgrades. I hope you did during the sale, because you can't do it anymore, because they're going to double in size. Again, the logistics you guys were talking about. And I think we're going to stop almost near here. This is probably the last column we're going to do, right? Is the pallet. There is a lot of paladins, because don't tell me it's finally crashed. No, it's surviving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Again, we're talking about a military humanitarian thing. 16 is a lot. Even when you put the 4 crew in it, that's more than the entire org. But again, it gives you some redundancy in moving around, and it is a very good ship. I think that's fine. And again, that'll ebb and flow as people come and go. Algared, I think you'd kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a
we're in personal preference territory, well and truly now.
We use this ship a lot as part of a supporting platform that stays with a group of 4 fighters that moves with those 4 fighters to be a turret on a swivel for that group. And so we it's just redundancy at this point, and it's big new shiny and everybody likes it, so that's why it's there.
Well, again, I feel like a lot of Corsairs probably got turned into Paladins because I'm surprised
Mine did.
I'm surprised there's not more Corsairs. It's a gunship as well, but it also does the cargo, so it's doing a bit of dual benefit. So to be honest, I would have expected more Corsairs, boys. I'm a bit surprised.
A whole bunch of them got turned into Paladins.
Yep,
a bunch.
100% see that happened, but I think there will be some regret there down the line.
I agree.
But again, a few more Corsairs because of the things you guys have talked about. I think that's a really good versatile ship for you with the attack and the cargo, where you really gave up all the cargo on the Paladin, and you got. We might see some movement on that down the road. Redeemers, you can clearly see that they've dropped off, and probably a lot of people upgraded their Redeemers. Was there more Redeemers as well?
Yep. There were.
Yep.
There
it's a flavor of the month thing. Hull B, that kind of surprises me. That is so low. I would expect a lot more.
Too.
Really, up those numbers. They're rookie numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Asgards. Again, they're really popular at the moment. They're Cutlass Light.
No.
Don't have a problem with that. I think I'm going to start cherry picking now because we're getting into the weeds. So none of these really matters. These are all personal. The Mole, only 4 is kind of low, but again, it is a ship of the times. And again, really cheap to buy in game, like you guys said before. So I can see why those numbers have dropped as an ownership. So I assume most people are buying them in game. Would that be the
for sure? And the fact, coupled with the fact that mole mining is still very broken. A lot of that.
I think like the Crucible Algared, 2 vultures is very low. I expect a lot more fighter escort backup and repair and refueling. So I'd expect these numbers to come up over time.
Vulcans, you meant, not vultures.
Yeah, sorry, did I say vulture? I meant Vulcan.
Yeah,
but I'm expecting maybe in the neighborhood of 8 of these, not 2, based on what I'm seeing. And I think the last military one, I could be mistaken here, that I want to go over. Yes, you do have some prowlers. How many are utility and how many are prowlers?
It looks like from there is 1 utility and 3 dropships.
Yep. Okay. So probably another. I'd probably say maybe one of these becomes the utility. I can see the military focus, but you need the backup of the utility. So you probably need another utility.
I think the Prowler utility is generally an underrated ship for what it will probably end up being.
Yeah, and we're starting to get into nitty gritty. Look, 1 expanse.
I know, isn't it crazy?
That's bad, boys. But I guarantee the expanse drops and 5 people will have one. So yeah, I can see. We're starting to see patterns, right? And this is a pattern I expect to see across the entire game, not just this org, not just pick on you guys. But it's a great learning experience to see how a bunch of people are moving through the game. So, the trends that we're seeing here, Algared, is trends that you and I have seen for years, is it not?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ship comes out, people buy it. Yep.
Yeah. Legionnaire, that's some low numbers at $120, and the boarding actions and stuff like the military actions, I'd expect to see a few more of those, but when it comes out. And then I think we just get.
I expect the Legionnaire is basically going to be the ship that ended up being paired with the Javelin.
Yeah. Humanitarian. Humanitarian wise, I'd expect to see a few more SRVs too, because they are low end repair, like towing people back to a base to help them, or back to your own crucibles to help them, or Vulcans or whatever's doing repairing. So again, in game though, really cheap to earn. So totally fine. I think we'll call it there, Algared, unless there's anything else.
I think once we get down here, we're going into the stuff that's
we are
earning game.
All you're going to see on the lower half of this is a whole bunch of F7s and a whole bunch of F8s from our flight ops guys.
And that's all personal. That's all personal.
Yeah.
Even when getting down to the SRVs is starting to get personal and stuff. But I just was like, I'm noticing there were patterns, right?
Yeah.
And they're not terrible patterns. So like, there's more Crucibles than there are Vulcans. There's more, you see what I mean? Like, so they're going for the bigger ones that are better value, that'll transfer down
and look, that works with the buy big earn down, and I don't see a problem with having more Crucibles and Vulcans, because hopefully you'll be able to earn and imbibe the Vulcans in game.
Exactly, that's my point. Yeah,
the
but
type
again,
of things
but when I say things like 8 Vulcans, I would hope that that's 8 Vulcans that you at least have, and I don't mean brought. You've got them in game, ready to use.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So there is an in game and out of game thing that you guys have got to look at too, and just just remember that. So yeah, but this has been a really interesting experience. I've learned a lot. Algared, I think you'd agree.
For me, looking at the fleet, based on what you guys have said, the holes I see are low on endeavors.
Yep.
Because low on, I'll say low on crucible. Just a little, because I think the crucible's so valuable.
Yeah, I
agree.
I could say a little bit up those numbers.
I really do love those 2 ships. So I've trying to pull myself out of that.
It's very hard to take. That's one thing me and Algared have to do is literally strip manufacturers off, strip our old personal beliefs off. And again, we break our own rules, so to speak. We say that a lot. So again, you can break these rules, but we're talking like if you just purely lay it down to statistics and value and best value of money, and we have to talk like that because how do you do that for a generously large group?
Yeah,
you have to be super generalist. That's the only way to pull it off.
So so for the humanitarian side, I think the crucible, your endeavors could be up. Your crucibles, I think, are essential just for maintaining the fleets.
I would say the Endeavor more than the Crucibles because of the versatility of the Endeavor. But again, another Crucible, I'll give you at least one more. Yeah, but again, if they want to.
Other areas I thought were holes, certainly in the logistics cargo hauling, but because you're light on the holes, but you do make that up with the merchantmen and other ships. So
and they did say
they were buying
big. They did say they were buying a lot of hull seas in game though too. They did. Yeah. They did cover that a little bit. Yeah.
So that's that. And the other thought I had was, I think they were the main things. So the PMC stuff you've got pretty much covered. The humanitarian stuff is just so medical hauling stuff and even science gameplay. So that might be an area that's a bit light. The sciencey aspect of researching to do that humanitarian relief. Whether that's part of where you want to go, but that's
All right, Selco and Fish, is there anything you want to add as we kind of sign off? Or anything you would like to hear in the comments from people below?
Keep an eye out for us. That's really the big thing. You know, HLN tries to be really big in community engagement. Of course, we're always looking for new members like any org, but beyond that, we're looking for people to just engage with us. We look for gameplay that is outside just what's in game, outside the typical contracts and, you know, the things people do there.
Where can someone go if they were interested in looking at your org?
HLNgroup.org is our proper website. There is ways to engage with us directly there. As many people probably see, we also have another public facing website at hcnradio.com, which is another public service that we offer. Again, tying back to HLN really wants to be not only a place for people to go and join as a member, but whether you're just a solo individual or part of another org or an org yourself, we look for ways to interact with and provide emergent gameplay for all of those individuals. So again, rather than just logging in and grinding the same contracts, we'll find our own ways to create the kind of gameplay we're looking for, which hopefully will be much more common in the near future.
Okay. Fish, anything you'd like to add or ask in the comments below?
First off, thank you to Execute and Algared for having us. It's been a great time. I've learned quite a few things.
You know what it is now. As of about a minute ago, this is officially the longest episode we've ever done. You have taken the crown. That disappoints me.
I love that.
They're disappointed in that.
That's
why I was trying to speed it up. I didn't want it to be the longest episode.
Well, I'm glad that we got to do this. As far as comments below, what do you guys think about our whole setup here? Do you think there's any glaring issues that you see? Do you have any opinions on any of the different things that we've talked about and why we have the ships we have? I'd love to hear and read those for myself. And once again, thanks to Algared and Execute both for having us. It's been a great time.
Yeah, thank you both.
Yeah,
greatly.
Pleasure.
More than welcome. Is there anything you would like to ask Algared?
Oh, as I usually say, have we led these guys down the garden path? Have we mugged them in the alley?
Well, I don't think we have this time. We haven't told them to upgrade anything or forced anything upon them. Yeah.
But, or have we given them some good advice or suggestions? So I
think that's what I'd ask too. Has it been a learning experience for you guys too? Because you don't get to sit and look at an org like this. It's why we wanted to do this for so long, because it just shows you a perspective that we've never been able to show before. But we knew there were all these orgs. But a lot of orgs, like when you approach them, they think that you want to kind of get in there and see what they've got so you can attack them and stuff like that. And it's not what it's all about. It's my camera has
it's about trying to see how or help people help orgs manage or encourage their members to see where the holes are and even maybe help them work out where they need to look at expanding.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's definitely been a learning experience for me. I learned a lot today, like just sitting there and going over and see, you can see trends. You really can.
Sure.
And I think well, again, I'll put it back to you guys real quick before you go. What did you guys get out of today, or even just putting the fleet image together in the last couple of days? So yeah, Fish, if you want to go first. Sorry, my camera seems to be hitting the limit because we're hot here in summer, and it's starting to cut out. I've turned on the fan, but I think it's going to keep cutting out on us. So yeah, just keep persisting.
It's perfectly fine. Putting the image together over the last couple of days, I'll tell you, the first time that I saw the render, I got sick at my stomach just from the crew requirements. I immediately got sick. One of the things that Selko and I do together as our duo is Selko is the leader. He is the vision. I am the practicum. So how are we going to get there?
Oh, so you're the one trying to lasso in Selko all the time. He's the wild bronco and you're the cowboy. I get it now. Yeah, I get it now.
Okay. Right. This was a great exercise in helping me know more about where we're going.
Yep.
And how to get there in a more stable place. I am a longtime viewer of you two and your entire content creation. I am happy to see that I have been spreading y'all's wisdom to our people the last 3 years, and I'm glad to see that some of those trends
it shows
have been apparent.
Yep.
So that's what I learned. We got a long way to go.
Oh, glad you guys got as much out of it as we did. All right, with that then, before my camera gives up the ghost, because I think it's flicking on and off like at the most rapid rate I've ever seen it. Again, this is why we don't do episodes this long, especially in the middle of summer. All right, with that then, the voices in the void have been Selko and Fishbowl. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. He's been Algared. Oh, wait. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Thank you to everyone on the extra roll on Patreon at the end of the video.
Absolutely. And that's Execute. And we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens. Say goodbye, boys.
Goodbye, guys.
Oh, you didn't have to say that. He's related to. I swear he's related to Astro. Just every but every time I say it, literal. Right. I'm out of here. I'm going to bed.